We have a lot more cold on the way. We even have the potential for an Arctic outbreak, and of course, this is going to bring increased chances of winter weather across areas of the country. We need to figure out what's out ahead of us first because there's enough to talk on there, and then we'll extend this further out into next week, really next weekend, where there's another time frame of interest that I am watching. Utilize those timestamps, jump ahead to whatever you need to listen to. My name is Mitch. Good Saturday morning. Hope you guys are doing well out there and have had a wonderful start to your weekend so far. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's start off by looking at the local radar across the lower 48. We got some rain falling out here across the deep south, the southeast, a little bit of snow across the Great Lakes region, areas of Canada. And we got a lot of energy diving in across the northern and central Rockies. Now, there's some heavier moisture developing across the northern plains, and this is in the form of a clipper, and this is going to intensify even more as we start to move into the Midwest. We're going to get a swath of heavy snow across areas in the Midwest. So let's go on and dive into that. Watches, warnings, and advisories from this. This is really just advisories and warnings. We got winter storm warnings up in areas in the pink, so this includes areas of Iowa and surrounding states. And we got winter weather advisories up in these purple counties. This goes from areas of like Sioux Falls all the way back over to Chicago, all the way down into, say, Peoria, Bloomington, all the way up to Madison, Milwaukee. It does stop south of, like, say, Minneapolis, but this is going to be a quick hitting but intense snow event. It's not going to last very long, but these clippers can really pack a punch. Let's go on and go over the timeline of this, and then we'll speak on how much snow could end up accumulating from this event. We're going to start this off with around late morning. So this isn't Eastern time. All these areas are in Central time. So back this time frame up 1 hour. I can't really change this, but just look up here if you're trying to figure out the time frame of this. If I forget to mention it while I go over this. And let's go on and extend this a little bit further to the east. 997, pretty compact clipper here. This is definitely going to deliver the boom with some snow. It's just not going to be a huge widespread area. So let's go on and get this in motion. As we move into about early to mid-afternoon, you can see some heavy snow developing right here where, South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Iowa connect. We continue to move forward. Minneapolis begins to get a little snow, especially the southern areas of Minnesota. Heavy snow falling in northern areas and central areas of Iowa. Des Moines getting some snow, but north of you guys will really get that heavy snow and stay in that heavier snow for much longer. So we continue to make it into about dinner time tonight. Just a good old-fashioned start to winter. More snow falling on top of what snow is still on the ground from all the other snow events over the last week, right? We had that winter storm, snowstorm last weekend, so here comes more, and we extend this all the way out to about midnight tonight. Snow begins to move into the upper Midwest. Chicago, here it comes. Milwaukee, Madison, Janesville, Dubuque, Cedar Rapids starting to get some snow. It begins to taper off in Des Moines, and then we extend this all the way until about daybreak tomorrow. Let's go on and move this over here. It's around 6, 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Snowing for most of lower Michigan. A little bit of snow could happen there in the UP of Michigan, but this could end as some very heavy snow. For example, this is around 6 or 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. It is snowing like crazy in Chicago. You're right near kind of that thermal boundary where the temperatures are a bit warm, but certainly cold enough for all snow. It's snowing in northern areas of Indiana tomorrow morning. Snow's beginning to move into Detroit, Toledo. A little bit of snow in Indianapolis, and I could see these winter weather advisories being extended east into lower Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and we make it all the way to about late morning tomorrow. It's snowing in Toledo, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, some snow. It's snowing in southern areas of Ontario. I know I do have some loyal viewers from that area. I wish I could get a little bit more detail from my Canadian folks, but it is just so hard to cover everybody. But we continue to move forward. We get into tomorrow afternoon. This thing does begin to lose some of its punch, but it's still snowing in Cleveland. It's snowing in Erie, northwestern PA, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. Snow is moving in. And how much steam will this still have at this point as we get into late tomorrow? Certainly a festive look. More snow falling across New England. And then this is as far out as we got on the HRRR model, all the way out to about 1 a.m. Monday morning. It's snowing across Vermont, New Hampshire, the Adirondacks, and Maine. So how much snow could we see from this? Let's start off west to east. Jump ahead if you're not worried about, say, the Dakotas and to your states. But this is North Dakota, This is how much snow you guys are being forecast from your National Weather Service. This is South Dakota. Starts to increase somewhat. Brookings, 3 to 5 inches. Sioux Falls, 4 to 7 inches. So definitely more snow the further southeast you get. And then we get into southern areas of Minnesota. Right now, you're only forecasting around half an inch to an inch of snow in Minneapolis at best. But listen, I could see this overachieving. I could see this bumping a little bit further north and some of these areas getting more. But you get into the southern areas of Minnesota, a few to as much as several inches is expected. And then we look at the state of Iowa. Several inches are on the way. Winter storm warning criteria type stuff. Certainly the further north you get, the criteria for snow to produce a winter storm warning is definitely higher as far as inches and feet or whatever it may be. But a good swath of over a half a foot of snow in northern areas of the state of Iowa. Des Moines, 2 to 3 inches. Ames, 3 to 5. Fort Dodge, 5 to 7. Dubuque, 4 to 7 inches. Now we start to get into the state of Wisconsin. The southern half of the state will get more snow than the northern. Milwaukee, around a half an inch to 3 inches of snow. Janesville, 1 to 4. La Crosse, a few inches of snow here. So now we look at the state of Indiana and Illinois. Chicago going for about 1 to 4 inches of snow. I could see it being a little more than that, but I could see it. I guess what I'm saying is I could see this being on the higher end. But Rockford 1 to 4, Peoria a few inches of snow forecast, and then we get into Indiana, half an inch to an inch in Indianapolis. But once you get north, a couple inches of snow is in the forecast, and then we round this off with Michigan, and a few inches of snow is on the way for lower Michigan, and between maybe a touch of snow on the northern fringe of this clipper and some lake effect stuff. You guys will continue to add it up in the eastern UP where several inches of snow continues to be on the way. Listen, this area up here, it just continues to have a very old-fashioned fast start to winter. I mean, this is, what the grandparents used to talk about, right? But I don't want to leave my friends here in the Northeast hanging. Some snow is on the way from this, and this is just the 24-hour kind of ensemble sectioned out mean here, if you will. Few inches of snow in the interior sections of New England is on the way. You can see as we make our way through the time frame of this system late this weekend into early next week. A couple inches of snow will pad your snow stats so far for this winter. So the next area we are watching, let's go on and update this because we do have the latest Euro. Okay, the next area we are watching, we're going to start this off late tonight, getting into tomorrow morning. Okay, you can see that clipper that we just spoke on moving in across the northern sections of the eastern U.S. We continue to have this steady stream of rain in areas of Florida, and then some energy begins to dive in here. Okay, you can see the blue, this is snow, the green's rain. You can see some light snow breaking out across areas of Kentucky, West Virginia. This is Monday morning. Some energy is digging here, and I'll show you a better representation of that here in a second. And then we start to move into Monday afternoon. And it's kind of a rich get richer, right? You got a nice moderate event across Virginia yesterday. Well, the National Weather Service already speaking on more snow on the way. In fact, they just issued a graphic. So this isn't just some crazy model run. And I mean, it wouldn't be anyways because we're well inside 100 hours. But see the light to moderate snow breaking out across areas of Virginia, southern West Virginia, northwestern North Carolina, even areas of like the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee. So when we get into these short-range models, we'll take a closer look at this, kind of like what we just did with the Clipper, but just kind of looking at some global models still right now. But we continue, and the energy will try to dig, and I really think there's a possibility we can get a rain-snow mix as far south as a good chunk of the state of North Carolina. And even some snow in eastern areas of North Carolina, southeastern areas, near the Hampton Roads area of Virginia as we're getting into late Monday. And then we're done with it. Now, the GFS continues to be much more aggressive with this. Same thing. Well, we're actually starting off a little bit faster in time here. We're getting into, say, late tomorrow night. We got an area of moisture that already looks more beefed up here on the GFS. Okay? We continue to move forward. Monday morning, I mean, we got a moderate snow event ongoing in the mountains of North Carolina and sections and like the Smokies and even northeastern sections of Virginia. We got snow falling across areas of southwest West Virginia. Southwest areas of Virginia, southern areas of West Virginia, tongue twister there. A little bit of snow in Kentucky that you see, and this is getting into Monday morning. And it's just a bigger event for North Carolina and even southern and southwestern areas of Virginia. Kind of that darker shade of blue, that's more so moderate to heavier snow. And it's just a colder scenario. We continue, and it actually, it's kind of like you got a two-section part of this system. A little bit of northwest enhancement here in the southern Appalachian Mountains, so some heavier snow falling. And then we got a coastal low developing here, and this increases snow in eastern areas of North Carolina. I don't think this is completely crazy what the GFS is showing, but I'm not buying it yet. I'm buying more so the conservative Euro. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. You guys know I love snow. I just think the GFS is off its rockers here. But we continue in some lingering snow into Monday night. And you can see a touch of blue here in eastern areas of North Carolina, a little bit of snow, and then we're done with it. Now, I will say, let's update this, see if we got any new information. Not really, it's about the same. They are already calling for snow from the actual National Weather Service, the actual humans from the offices here in Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina. I mean, they're even calling for a few tenths of an inch of snow in southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina, but already going for 1 to 2 inches of snow here in southwest Virginia, northwest North Carolina, and a few inches of snow in the higher terrain like Mount Mitchell, Boone, Banner, Elk, and down here in the favorite areas of southwest North Carolina in the Smokies for some snow. A touch of snow in Virginia they're already calling for, so they're already honking the horn at this. Okay? Now, as we get into tonight, we'll show you some of those individual graphics from the National Weather Service we like to show. Now, what about some operational runs? And I typically don't do this, but I'm going to do it here. What is the latest 06Z Euro showing? We moved this in time. And yeah, I mean, it pretty much follows everything else we just showed you from the National Weather Service. Okay? Drops about an inch of snow in Roanoke. National Weather Service actually going for more. A few tenths of an inch of snow elsewhere in Virginia. Even goes for 3/10 of an inch in Greensboro. I know the people in northern North Carolina are very salty with what happened yesterday. I read in my Facebook comments. The comments were pretty spicy, I like to say, in yesterday morning's video. Man, a lot of people had a lot of things to say. But it really wasn't regarding this. But anyways, I know you guys are going to develop a I'll believe it when I see it mentality. That's cool. You can do whatever you want. We're going to continue to forecast the weather regardless. But it definitely likes more so the higher elevations of, Boone, Banner, Elk, and North Carolina, these areas. Johnson City goes for about 2/10 of an inch of snow, and it does show a touch of snow in southeastern Virginia, northeastern areas in North Carolina. Now, what about the GFS? Now, it's just much more aggressive. I'm not buying this, but I will show it to you. It shows two separate areas. This is more believable. I don't think it'll be this much snow. For example, I don't think you're going to get 3 inches of snow in Asheville. I don't think you're going to get 3 to 4 inches of snow in Johnson City. Could be dead wrong. But I do think accumulating snow is likely in some of these areas, especially once you get into this region here. Southwestern Virginia, I think we'll get there. Roanoke, are you going to get 3 inches of snow from this? I think that's a higher end, but I think it's possible. This is the area that's the big wild card. It's going for a few inches of snow in eastern North Carolina, even an inch of snow in Raleigh. The GFS is a bit of an outlier with this, but we'll continue to watch it. Now, what's going on? What's setting the stage for this kind of event that's really close to us? It's all about this energy that you see. Let's draw on this a little bit. Let's go on and get this ready, because we're going to use this deeper in the video anyways. It's all about this energy right here that you see kind of diving in, okay? But it's kind of flat. It's not digging. It's kind of zonal, and it's just a more positively tilted. You need a more neutrally, negatively tilted, where it comes in, kind of digs, and it kind of comes in, digs, and then does like that, okay? That probably didn't help you at all, but you get what I'm saying, okay? But you see this energy, this area of energy diving in. This is what's reflecting to the surface as some moisture. So it digs in, but it doesn't dig in much. Kind of just a zonal progressive look here. But this is enough to try to fire up some activity at the surface. And just enough cold air, we can get a little winter weather for areas a little bit further to the south. So we'll continue to watch that, okay? Now let's start to get deeper into next week. We're going to start this off with Tuesday afternoon. The blue is lower pressure, a dip in the jet, a trough, and any kind of warm colors you see on your screen, it's a ridge, higher pressure. The blues you see typically bring colder than average temperatures and some energy. Whether that energy is a weak or stronger storm system, we figure that out in time, okay? And then, the ridge typically brings warmer than average temperatures. So we continue to see just troughing is what I like to say over the central to eastern U.S. as we move in the next week. And We continue. You can see this sort of greenish shade right here embedded in the blue. This is a deeper trough, going to bring a deeper shot of cold air, more energy, but this is not digging down much. It's only kind of digging down across the Great Lakes region, the Ohio Valley, the Midwest. That's going to keep the northern stream active. But is this going to tap into any kind of southern stream activity, which I would say that the southern stream really isn't active right now. It's really a northern stream dominated pattern. That moves in. This is probably going to bring a reinforcing shot of cold air. Let's go on and move this over a little bit. So this is, no, we like pink. Okay, this is going to bring that shot of cold air behind us. Okay, flow wraps around this deeper trough right here. Okay, but what I'm watching as we move past this time frame, we get into Thursday, Friday of next week. That trough gets even deeper, kind of digs in again. And it digs in a little bit deeper. We get the spiking of the ridge right here. And we're going to use black. Spiking of the ridge. We got some blocking developing over Alaska. I really think this is allowing for this to really dig down more. The spiking of the ridge over the west allows for some energy to kind of nose down better here. Okay, and this trough digging down, this is going to bring a pretty deep shot of cold air behind it. And we kind of have to watch some energy diving in. Is there going to be anything down here? I don't know. We got the blocking here. This is kind of locking in our trough. And this is why I think we're going to consistently have that dip in the jet, reinforcing shots of cold air because of this blocking up here next week. The big wild card is the blocking over Alaska. Do we get Alaska back warm? And I really think this helps to really dive in our trough a little bit more. And the energy that can kind of dive in behind this trough, this dip in the jet, we have to watch how much of a spiking tall ridge we can get out west that allows for kind of this energy to kind of dive down like a slide down the backside of this trough and then kind of get involved with this cold air. Okay, but this entire area right here, and this entire time frame where you have the blue, the greenish color, in a nutshell, this is going to bring a reinforcing shot, I think, of cold, not just cold air, but Arctic air, maybe even Arctic outbreak. And we just got to watch any energy associated with it. If this digs down more, we could get a winter storm, a stronger storm system. And we continue to move this forward, and we continue to have this just cold air feed across the eastern U.S. A tall, not really a tall, more so a broad ridge expands over the western to central U.S. But we continue to back this up and really push this back if you live in the eastern U.S., okay? And we go all the way to 300 hours out. One thing I'll show you guys here. If we go and we look at the run, let's see what we can do here on the fly here. If we look at the run, say, from yesterday, okay, you can already tell, no, that's not the run from yesterday. Here. And then we compare it with the run overnight, okay? We're not doing this right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do this on the fly, okay? We're going to look at this. Just bear with me. You know, my videos are never super crisp, guys. But this is the same thing we're looking at. It's just on a different side. It's on tropical tidbit. Same thing, trough, colder air, ridge right here. And we're going to actually back this up. And this is for right in the middle of the weekend next weekend, okay? If I'm gonna kind of go back a few runs, right? And it's going to kind of glitch out a little bit, okay? And now we're going to go forward. So we went all the way back to a couple days of runs ago off the Euro ensemble. Now we're going to go to the current run. But if you look a few days ago, it had a ridge next week and kind of beginning to kind of build over areas of the deep south and the southeast, with the blue area kind of troughing with a cold air source way up here. Now as we push it back to the current Euro ensemble, watch this. See how that blue area is now digging more so over more of the eastern U.S. We've pushed back this ridge now. So what I'm trying to say is we've continued to trend cold. We continued to push back warmth in the long range and trended it colder as we worked it into the medium range. That's what I'm trying to say. And you can see it here. If we look at the Euro ensemble as far as colder temperatures, all right, we're going to start this Tuesday afternoon, still hanging on to below average temperatures. The blue and the greens is below average temperatures. Once you start to get into the greens, that's anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees below at your average temperatures for that time of the day for that specific date. So this is December the 9th. Now you're going to start to see some Barney colors show up on your screen. That's like 15, 25, 30 degrees below average. But as we start to move into late next week and then next weekend, there's the Barney colors. Anytime you see that, that's Arctic air. I mean, let's just leave it at that. It's 30, 35 degrees below average. And we get a solid signal inside a week for an Arctic air mass dropping down. And it's very, very cold looking next weekend around this time across the central to eastern U.S. And we've trended this colder. And we've trended it colder further to the west too. So it's looking like more areas of the central U.S. look a lot colder. In fact, if we compare these anomalies to the run yesterday, right? So how cold have we trended? So look how much colder we have trended. This is a run-to-run temperature anomaly change as we're getting into next week, and we have trended much colder. Now this is a huge change, so we'll probably moderate this on the 12Z, but I mean, we're trending colder. That's what I'm saying. And if you look at the operational run of the Euro, it clearly backs up its ensemble and vice versa. You can see a shot of Arctic air diving down late next week and the next weekend. It's very cold looking, and the GFS shows the same thing. It's now on board, and I really think this could come in the form of two cold fronts. The first will bring just colder than average temperatures. The second or the third could bring Arctic air. I mean, the latest GFS, as we're getting in the next Saturday morning, brings an Arctic outbreak across the middle to the eastern areas of the country, and I think that this has legs. So meaning that it has a decent probability of happening. Now, what about any precipitation with this? Are we seeing anything that supports any kind of significant winter weather? Well, if we look at the central U.S., this is getting into Tuesday, and we got a northern stream piece of energy here. This is going to deliver more clipper type stuff, a swath of heavy snow for the upper Midwest, just areas that continue to see a lot of snow. And then we start to get into Thursday. This is when that trough begins to dive in. And you can see there's snow further south into Thursday morning of next week, all the way down, as far south as like northern Arkansas. And this is what we'll watch for. As this continues to move, you can see a little bit of snow even into Tennessee, and dives down deep. The energy associated with it will too, with cold air source moving south with it. And then we start to move into, next Friday evening, reinforcing shot of cold air. That could be that cold Arctic air. And yeah, but I mean, you don't see anything too crazy for like areas of the southern plains. And if you look at the snowfall signal between now and the next week or so, it's mainly for the northern sections of the country. It's nothing, you're not seeing anything alarming for the south central U.S. between now and the next week. Okay, now what about the Euro off the eastern U.S.? Same thing, you're going to see clipper energy to the north. We get into next Wednesday. That could deliver an all-out winter storm across areas of the upper Midwest. If you're tuning in from Michigan, surrounding states, etc., southern Ontario, you got just more winter weather on the way, more snow. Okay, might be too warm for any decent snow further south, deeper into Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, but we'll watch. And then cold air drops down. You can see a little bit of snow as far south as the southern Appalachian Mountains. And then some deeper cold air moves in. And I think the temperatures are a little off here. It shows snow across North Carolina next Thursday night and Friday. But if you look at the temperatures, don't really support snow. It's kind of weird feedback issues on this. But anyways, not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm not sure if this is actually falling as snow in some of these areas. But this is right here. But you can see a lot of cold air, a lot of northern stream energy diving down from this trough, and just light, moderate snow scattered about late next work week. And then the deep, cold Arctic air dives in with a lot of energy associated with the immediate trough, but no phasing of energy to create a significant storm system. But that could change. But we could get some clippers, some aggressive clippers that can really set up some aggressive northwest flow snow events. And I go back to, say, early November, right? November the 10th, I think it was, where we had snow across the Piedmont, North Carolina, South Carolina. That was from a clipper. So if we can do that in early November, you can certainly do it in mid-December. So snowfall signal between now and the next 7-8 days, mainly for the northern sections of the country. But you do got a little bit of a signal as far south as Tennessee, northern North Carolina. And this does combine that event we spoke on for early next week. And you can see as we get into late next week, the energy, you see these weird vibrant colors kind of diving down, Like this is energy in the atmosphere, and you can see it diving down with the trough. It's embedded, just these kind of swirly areas. This is the energy that we watch. How far south does this dig with the trough? These are the things that we watch. Okay, now let's look at this 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, and I should have added this in the temperature part. But I do want to show you this. It's a 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. And I'm not going to go past this because this continues to change. It actually bugged me when they posted the 3 to 4 week outlook and how they just went, it looked like they just went straight with the Euro weeklies. But anyways, enough of that. This is the 11th through the 15th of December, below average temperatures in the blue. The darker blue, even the purple color, this is where confidence is the highest with below average temperatures. But it's going to be cold between the 11th through the 15th, getting into the middle of the month. Now, if we look at the MJO, okay, we've been going over this like crazy, right? Look, I mean, we've talked about this a lot. And lucky us, we got the newest updated information. Okay, and it actually looks better. All right, let's draw on this. Little jittery this morning, so I need to relax. Coffee's getting to me. So this is the MJO chart. Phase 6, 5, and 4. These are warmer phases. We're not in those phases. Phase 8, 1, and 2. These are cooler phases. Phase 7, Phase 3. These are transition phases. We have worked out of Phase 7, and we're in Phase 8 now. Phase 8 is a great phase, and 1 and 2. For cold and winter weather chances in December, January, and February, and winter months, right? So what is it? December the 6th. So we're right into Phase 8. Where are we going? You see the 6 right here? That stands for December the 6th. Well, we're just going to hang out in Phase 8 for a long period of time. In fact, everything gets jumbled up here so much that all the dates kind of blend in right here. You got the 16th, 18th, 20th. So we're going to stay in Phase 8 for a long period of time. Yes, we can get, if you're very familiar with the weather, we can get in the circle of death here, which is kind of like the circle of confusion. It's where, say you're just tucked in right into here, and you're still in Phase 8, but you're in that circle. That's where it has low impacts on the actual weather, depending on what phase you're in. So even though you're in that favorable Phase 8, if you're in that circle kind of death, kind of that low amp phase of that MJO phase, I know we're saying that a lot, then the weather might not reflect on what phase you're in. So it might not be as favorable. So yes, we can sneak into that circle. But the good news is I want you guys to focus on this. We're not kind of just, let's use black. We're not just kind of cruising here and then getting way over here back into Phase 5 or 6 or back into Phase 4 or something, okay? We're not crossing over, which you can do sometimes. The normal progression is for this to do like this. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can just go right here and skip everything and go back into the warm phases. It really doesn't look like we're going to do that. In fact, the latest run looks fantastic. It just locks us into Phase 8. So it's a great MJO pulse for continuous cold and weather chances if you're a fan of that for a good chunk of the country, especially the central to the eastern U.S. And if we look at the latest, say, Euro ensemble, I mean, it shows the same thing. We're just kind of locked in Phase 8, kind of a low amp phase of it, but we're locked in Phase 8. So continues to look good, guys. The rest of the country, the southeast, all right, we got some rain. It's just going to stay cloudy and rainy. We got more rain moving across southern Alabama, areas of Georgia, South Carolina. So just a rainy, damp day for these areas. And this is going to continue throughout the rest of the weekend, just rainy times ahead. All right, the northeast, kind of some festive mood flakes around this morning across areas of New England, and this will continue across interior sections of New England. It's just a Hallmark movie up here now. I mean, it really is. I'm going to keep saying it too, but it's just a good old-fashioned start to winter up here in New England. The I-95 corridor, New York City to Boston, has not got theirs yet. And I hear you. I hear you in New York City. I know you guys have gotten ripped off. It seems like you all miss the north and miss the south. I really hope and I believe that you guys got a big winter storm on the way from New York City at some point. The south central U.S., this is what it's looking like. Lingering rain in southeast Louisiana. We're going to continue to add up the snow in the Rockies of Colorado. And speaking of that, several inches, the feet of snows on the way over the next 36 to 48 hours. And then we've already talked on the north central U.S., so we're not going to do that anymore. But we do got a lot of snow out here across the northern plains and northern Rockies flying around out here. So this will pad the stats as far as snow with another storm system moving in. And that'll feed into another northern stream energy, another clipper across the northern, central, and eastern U.S. in the coming days. This is Wyoming, how much snow you could get. This is mainly higher elevation driven stuff. And then this is, we've already done Colorado. This is Montana. Okay, a couple inches of snow even into the plateau, just the lower elevations, flat plains area is what I'm trying to say of Montana. Temperatures, cold across the east, warm. You guys are just sticking out into the warmth down here in Florida, quite literally. It's cold where it normally is cold. And then the western U.S., I mean, you can see some really cold air. I mean, highs will only be in the single digits. Some areas might not even get above 0 degrees for high temperatures across North Dakota. So very cold weather up here. Now it's going to create a timestamp, and let's just make this our timestamp. Let's do our Bible devotion. All right, so this morning we're in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 20 through 21. It says, "For what credit is there if you do wrong and are beaten? You endure it. But when you do what is good and suffer, if you endure it, that brings favor with God." Notice it says, "But when you do what is good and suffer, if you endure it, that brings favor with God." And that's huge. "For you were called to this because Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example that you should follow in his steps." And I said, submit fully to him, fully trusting in him in the process, even if that means you suffering. The suffering is not a punishment, but aligned with God's will. God does not make mistakes, and knowing this should help bring peace in these tough situations. I know it ain't always. Trust me, it don't always for me, but it should. Jesus was the ultimate example of suffering, but he followed through knowing what had to be done for us. So listen, we talk about, drop my Bible there, we talk a lot about God's will. I mean, I'm huge on that because I think everything connects to that. It quite literally does. But if you know with everything you got in your heart that you are in tune with God's will, I mean, you're following it, and you might wonder, why does these tough situations still keep happening? I keep getting in these valleys. It takes forever to get out. And I'm speaking to myself. I have to talk through myself with this too. And just know that if you're following God's will and you know it, then trust in that, and trust that whatever comes out of it is God's plan on your life. So, keep fighting a good fight. I think that's what it comes down to. Keep that faith strong, and, look back on what Jesus did for us. I mean, we know about the physical suffering he did, but it was a mental suffering too. And, it was a battle for him, but he knew what had to be done. So we know that we have to keep moving forward. Okay. We're not called to, when life knocks us upside the face, to just lay down and not do anything about it, and we're called to stand up for our faith in situations where, we might get dissed on for it. Okay. We're called we're called to be strong and to keep that foundation rock solid. So keep fighting a good fight. That's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend, and we'll be right back here tonight to continue to try to figure all this out. God bless all y'all. We'll talk soon.